What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be going over Claude Code and specifically how to launch a project from start to finish with Claude Code. And if you are new to Claude Code, never used it before, this is going to be the video for you. And if you are experienced, there's some steps you can absolutely skip over here. Might be helpful to still get some of these refreshers. There might be some new information, but nonetheless, this is a beginner-friendly video of how to launch your project from start to finish using strictly Claude Code, no experience needed. And before we get into that, guys, if you're new to this channel, I'm Jake. This is Jake Automates. All we do here is use AI and automation to make our lives easier, leverage our time, and ideally make money along the way. So jumping into this, what is Claude Code? Claude Code is an agentic coding agent, and basically it is like you have a senior software developer and programmer in your back pocket who works 100 times as efficient as any software programmer could possibly hope to. The amount of stuff you can build, the amount of ideas you can turn to life with Claude Code is truly awe-inspiring and amazing, and I think it's one of the greatest inventions in the last decade. It's incredible. And so today we'll go over 6 steps here of how to start with Claude Code, how to learn how to use Claude Code, and how to build an actual project from Claude Code. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to do exactly that. You'll be able to build your entire project with Claude Code without any prior experience. So jumping into step 1 is you need to pick an IDE, which is an integrative development environment. So that means, if you ever, let's say, had one of these things pop open, this is called a terminal. This is Windows PowerShell. And this is where Claude Code lives, in a terminal. And it's unique because most other agents do not live in your terminal, and it reduces a lot of friction when it comes to creating these code bases. And so with this terminal, it's basically there's different wrappers around the terminal. And the wrapper I like to use, which they call the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, is Cursor. You've probably heard of Cursor if you've heard of Claude Code. It's kind of the #1 IDE out there right now, especially for agentic no-code, or I shouldn't say no-code, agentic vibe code, pretty much, uses. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to come here, and you want to download Cursor. Now, I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to download it with you guys. But once it's downloaded, I will then walk you through how to set up your Claude Code inside Cursor, because it can be a bit tricky. But you can choose Cursor, you can choose any of the other ones. I highly recommend Cursor. And then once you are done with Cursor, you're going to want to come to claude.com/pricing. And you're going to want to figure out where you're at on your vibe coding journey. You can start for 100% free, actually. You just won't get a lot of usage. But if you start for free, it'll at least allow you to dip your toes. I'm personally on the max plan because I use a shit ton of Claude every single day. And so choose your plan. If you choose free, I don't think you're allowed to do I've never tried it. I don't think you're allowed to use your free membership as the tokens for Claude Code inside Cursor. I know you can use it for Macs, because once you install Claude Code inside of Cursor, it's going to ask you how you want to log in. And most likely on the free plan, they don't just give you free usage. You probably need to use API credits. So if you're just dabbling, maybe get the $17 a month. It's 17 bucks, guys. It lets you at least check it out and use it. But going back to installing Claude Code, the first thing is picking your plan. So once you pick your plan, we can then move on to step 2. Step 2 is once Cursor is downloaded, you're going to open Cursor. And the first thing you need to do in Cursor is you actually need to open a new folder where you're going to have your first code base live. So really, you can just put a folder on your desktop. Everything can live locally at the beginning. Let's say Jarvis. I don't know. Let's say we want to make Jarvis. So I'll put a folder named Jarvis right here. Oh, I guess it's not on my screen. Jarvis right here. And I just had to resize my screen real quick, guys. But I'll put a folder named Jarvis, and we'll just use that as our code, or as our folder for the time being. And so you come back here to the Claude terminal, or not the Claude terminal, the cursor, which our terminal will be in. You go to desktop, and then you go to, let's say, Jarvis. I select and open the folder. And then the first thing you're going to want to do once you're in here is you're going to want to click on this little editor window. Now, it's not 100% necessary because you can access your repositories right here, and you can just, click between them and have it pop up on your little terminal window on the right here. But I think it is more helpful to just pop out into the editor. And when you do that, you'll get somewhere like this. And then once you're here, you're going to want to click on this little extensions box right here. And then you're going to just install Claude Code it's going to say Claude Code for VS Code. This is not VS Code, but it's fine. For our intents and purposes, that's actually exactly what we want. And then so once that's installed, you're actually going to come back here, and then you can either click here or you can click Control J, and it'll open the terminal. And then you're going to see that this is the route to your file, -admin, -desktop, -jarvis. And after that, we're going to come back and we're going to pull up this window right here. And this is going to be the quick start guide for Claude. And you're going to want to install, and it's most likely to be in Windows PowerShell. And you're going to just click copy here, and you're going to pop into here, and you're going to install it right here. Now, I've already done that, so I don't need to do it. You'll get a whole bunch of stuff, and if it doesn't work, it oftentimes actually gives you troubleshooting, but if it doesn't work, let me know, guys, and I'll see if I can help you. But nonetheless, once it is installed, and this is something that caught me up before, is it doesn't just live there permanently now. You actually have to call it every time. And I don't know where it says this. I had to figure it out on my own, but you actually have to type in Claude for it to pull up. And it'll ask you if you trust this folder because it's a new folder. And I said yes. Bing, bang, boom. You have Claude in your terminal and you are on your way. So that actually really covers step 3 and step 2. And so I guess step 3 probably should have came step 2 before step 2, but what are you going to do? And then you could also attach it to GitHub or etc. You don't have to live locally if you don't want to. I think it's the absolute easiest, lowest barrier to entry, and allows you not to do all these pushes and stuff to GitHub. Which GitHub, guys, if you're new to this, again, you're going to need that eventually if you want to fully launch your application to a web app. So I will go to GitHub real quick and just show you guys the site. So GitHub is where all your repositories are going to live online in, like a virtual database, like a cloud storage system for your repositories. Repositories are just your code base. Your code base is just your actual application and what's working behind the scenes. And so you're going to want to do that eventually. Just start your GitHub. It's super easy to actually install it. You just make your account, you click create new repository. I'll just do it with us here. I'll just type it Jarvis. And then, you give it a description, doesn't matter. Public, private, doesn't matter. I'm going to make mine private. Well, it does matter, actually, if you have some private stuff in your repository. I do recommend private. I'll say that. And then you're just going to snap this, and you're going to copy and paste it inside of your terminal and tell it to link to your GitHub repository and push. Now, that's down the line. You don't have to worry about that just yet, guys. But nonetheless, going back here, so that is the destination folder. That is install Claude. That is pick the IDE platform. We're cruising through this. Next is skills. So there's a couple skills, guys. There's an unfathomable amount of skills. And so you do have to refine it. So one, you can go here and you can type in skills and it lists the available skills. So for Claude, it has these available skills built in. All of these 50 some odd skills, and it just calls them automatically. However, there are other skills that you are able to include into Claude Think of it as almost like jailbreaking your iPhone. Back in the day when you wanted to get all these other features and free apps and all that stuff, whatever it is, and maybe it's not that much because it doesn't actually change the back end of Claude, but it almost creates a layer between your action and what Claude receives. Because when you ask something from Claude and you say, hey, I want to create this website that looks like this, and automatically go through the same layer it does with everybody else, right? You know, almost how you can, the AI slop, right? You know, quote unquote. And people with like ChatGPT, they get these canned responses that are kind of like the same response that just, you know, and it's the same tone, it's the same feeling. Putting skills from a third-party repository, like Gary Tan's GStack is a very popular one, can help with the overall architecture and scaffolding of your project. It can help reduce that AI slop feel. Now, they're optional, they are not necessary. With good prompting, you can still do it the same thing, right? It's almost just including that prompt into your directives folder and all that stuff. Optional, helpful in some circumstances. If you're having a giant, you know, project with a lot of things going on, it's probably important to include those kind of skills. The next, another skill that is worth knowing is Graphify. Graphify is knowledge graphs for AI coding assistance. And what it does is it massively reduces your token reduction, and it really helps out with your overall, the architecture of your code base. Because think of it like a brain almost, where all your neurons are firing all in all directions at the same time. My neurons aren't firing, and I can barely speak right now, but all your neurons are firing in the same direction all at the same time. However, with Claude Code and other agentic coding agents, it's just going down a linear path for the most part, unless it's launching other agents that are tackling other things at the same time. What Graphify does is it creates more of that branching network. Is a good way to think about it. So with that branching network, you get the capabilities really to have it understand how different parts of your code are interacting with one another. And it takes less effort for the agent to go through your entire code base when it looks at this branching kind of architecture opposed to just a linear model. And what that helps with is, of course, the token reduction helps with overall content rot as well, which is basically saying, you know, when you're talking to, like, let's say an AI for a while, and it starts to forget shit, you know, and it starts to make stuff up, that this helps with all that. And so we are going to go ahead and install, and for each new repository, you do have to install it. So we're going to go ahead and install Graphify into our repository. And as that installs, let's talk more about the architecture and scaffolding and all that. And so first, before you start a project, you kind of want to have the overall architecture in your mind. And there's a couple ways to do that. One, open up your friendly ChatGPT, open up your friendly Claude Code in the browser, and open up the planning mode on one of those. And so, I don't know, I guess I'll go with Claude, and I'm not going to use Fable right now. I'm just going to use Sonnet, and I'm just going to say, I want to build a Jarvis type application where I can speak to it. It has a visual interface and speaks back to me. It is connected to all my applications, businesses, campaigns, etc., and essentially knows everything about my life and runs my whole life and has full capabilities. I should probably paused, but whatever. You guys see how easy this is to make changes based on self-learning and annealing type system. I want a prompt to create this in one shot using Fable 5. So I'm going to give it that prompt. It's going to think and it's going to output something, and read it first. Make sure it aligns with what you're thinking you want from your output. And then that's going to help with architecture and scaffolding, so you don't even have to really understand it. And as you go back and forth with Claude, it is going to help basically ask questions. You're going to want to ask Claude to ask questions, so you're not just going to want to tell it to do something. You want to say, hey, Claude, this is what I'm going for. Ask me questions around this to make sure that, you fully understand, or to make sure that we're aligned, or however the hell you want to phrase it. And then once all that's done, let's say fast forward, 3 weeks, your project is completely done. It's fully ready. It's ready to launch. What do we do next? Well, I'll tell you what we do next, and we go to Versal. We go to versal.com, and we're just going to add new here. And so basically, all this means is that we're now launching our app to a live web program. And there's a couple things that go into this. One, all you do is add new, you add project, and then inside your project, you're going to see here, I already connected to GitHub. You will have to connect to GitHub, but you can see here that, Jarvis, right? And I'll just click Jarvis, it'll import, and then bing, bang, boom, I have a website for my application, for my program, for my whatever you want to call it, whatever you're creating, whatever you're designing. And now let's go check out where we left off here. The prompt, personal AI business, Jarvis for me, blah, 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 solo founder, Python first, self-hosted, comfortable with fast API. See, and here's the thing, it already knows me. And so it's already saying, hey, I'm running all these businesses. And you can, yep. There we go. OneNote is for the dashboard. Hang on one sec, guys. So I'm also adding a reference image here. And so it can be very helpful to add reference images. And, Claude can actually even generate images for you of examples for, hey, this is, what it would look like for your program. So you can ask for it to generate those kind of things first. So when you were talking about UI, which is user interface, that's going to be this kind of stuff. You get a visual interpretation of it. But I'm telling it, for the dashboard, I want it to look like Jarvis, right? So I'm also adding this so they can see what I'm going for, which can be very, very helpful for AI when you actually include images. And if you want to include images in the terminal, because obviously when we go here, you can't paste an image into this terminal. Where you can paste it is you can paste, I believe, into the cursor agent, which is included in the plan with limited usage. And you can also paste it directly into your repository here. And so you can download your image and then you could drop it into the repository and you can call it and say, hey, I dropped a file called jarvis.jpg. Go check it out. That's what I want my site to look like. And then they will go check it out and it'll be like, gotcha, perfect. And so this is going to give me the actual prompt in just a moment here. And I'm going to pause and then I'm going to put it in and then I'm going to show you guys what it actually made. I'll be right back. And real quick, as I'm doing this, I'm talking back and forth with it because of the output I got from its from its prompt, I saw some things that I want to adjust. And so I'm also saying, hey, like I don't want it just to be what you know about me. I want it to be able to, any business I want to connect to this, right? Any kind of concept idea I want to include, I want to be able to program that into this, opposed to just having the downloaded, this is what it knows about me. This is the only thing I can work on. And here's another good point for us guys. When you do forward dash, you'll get all these different options. And so it's not just skills, but there's all these different options you can have to help create your application. And so I'll get into that in a second, but first I'm going to go model, and I'm on Fable 5. That's just what I want to make sure. Fable 5 is the most sophisticated model there is. And for this project, we want the most sophisticated model. But if you're trying to be token conservative, you can choose Sonnet or Haiku. If you want to be, the best possible option, choose Opus or Fable. So real quick, guys, all I did was copy and paste, and you see it says pasted 1 of 92 lines. If you click it again, it'll show you. Oh, I don't want to paste it twice. Hang on. It'll show you that we got this whole prompt in here now. It's all in here. Truncated. You can see it's still truncated, but nonetheless, whole prompt's in here. And now I'm just gonna click enter. You can see here, and let's see it work its magic. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, and we got this output, and so it's pretty much just ready. I just have to include my API key, and then we'll get rolling. And just for reference, guys, the API key can be found for whatever AI you're using, usually in the settings, or sometimes they have a direct API. But if you just type in basically API, Claude API on Google, you're going to find it. It's not that hard. Okay, guys, the Claude is done thinking, and we've launched just into the local. And so in 2 more steps, I'll show you how to actually launch it to the website, to the Versal. I went over that a little bit. And so looking at this is Jarvis. This is the Jarvis we made, and this is just our example of what we were able to do in 20 minutes. And so imagine what you guys can do in 20 minutes, the kind of stuff you can build, and let's give it a run. So let's say, hey Jarvis, how are you? Let's see, it's thinking here. And doing well, systems running, what's on your mind? What kind of tasks can you currently do? Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's incredible. I also, Whisper, what does Whisper do right now? Is Whisper working online yet? There we go. So yeah, Whisper dictates. Oh, I guess I'm in the way. There you go. Right there. You can see it in the bottom right. I meant to move myself, but Whisper dictates the my words. So you can see here that it kind of like takes the things I said and then it reduces it, gets rid of filler, and makes it more understandable for AI. And so it can be a little bit of a cleaner system. And I had it build Whisper inside of this. And so nonetheless, guys, that's it. That's how you build an app end to end. The last things I'll show you here is, let's just go over to, where is it? Back over the Versal here, you're just going to go add new project, and then you're just going to connect and import Jarvis. I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm just going to run my local thing, but once that's up and running, you're good to go, and your project is fully run. Everything is done for you. That's it. Easy. It's freaking easy, guys. But nonetheless, if you have any questions, if you like this video, drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. And hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.